Good evening, race fans, and welcome to virtual Daytona International Speedway, where 2026 PGR March Madness rolls on tonight. It is the Final Four from the World Center of Racing, and we are so happy to have you here with us. Thanks so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Want to welcome in a couple of special guests into the booth here tonight. Matthew Baker going to co-host up in the booth with me, and then our pit reporter, Tyler Vickery, will be providing plenty of updates down track side. Last week it was Malik Ray who found victory lane, not in the bracket anymore, but it was a big win for the one camp. Here tonight we've got one more Cinderella story still left in the round of 4, and then 3 other guys who are looking to see if they can advance themselves to the championship next week. Before we get into tonight's starting grid, I do want to pass it over to my co-host Matthew Baker. And Baker, obviously you've been here every week mostly doing race control, but you've got to see the progress so far. Who do you have your eye on here tonight?
Yeah, really excited to see this updated O'Reilly car in action here at Daytona. You know, it's a little more team oriented, so watch for the big teams to be up front early, but this hot track temp's really going to bring other players into the fold, single car drivers, and really excited to watch here as Cody Nagel's going to roll off from the pole. Yeah,
track temp could obviously be a huge factor here tonight. Close to, if not over 130 degrees is what I was looking at here before we completed qualifying. Without any further ado, drivers are getting gridded up, so we're going to head right down track side and get into tonight's starting grid. The man who will roll off from the pole is one of the drivers who has already won a race in the March Madness bracket. Unfortunately, though, got eliminated before he found that win. It's Cody Nagels in the 6 car. He will start from the inside of the front row. One of Team PGR drivers, Brock Westmoreland. He'll roll off from the outside in second. Back in row 2 here tonight. Good starting position for Malik Ray, and he'll have Nathan Harper to his outside in P4. Rounding out the top 5, it's going to be Carson Freeman. He'll have one of the PGR eSports drivers. That's Brian Hennings in the 74 to his outside in 6th. Back in row 4, it's going to be Matt Patton, the Cinderella story of the Final Four bracket. Ethan Eckert to his outside in 8th. And the last 2 inside the top 10, Jeff Mert for NBG and Max Steinda in the 48 car.
Steve Sizemore going to be rolling off in P11 with Michael Barksdale in 12th. Had a great showing in the Old Farts Racing League here just an hour ago. Christopher Carter also another good run in the CCR machine number 25. And Weston Campbell rolling off in P14. Alex Kroenke in 15th. Tucker McClendon 16th. Dustin Cowan rolling off 17th. Kevin J. Cunningham, a name you don't really see, in 18th. Neil Meadows, another guy not out here often. Good to see him out here in this new O'Reilly car in 19th, and Ricky Stewart run out your top 20.
In 21st is going to be Andrew Hansley. He'll have Mike Davenport in the 55 to his outside in 22nd. It's going to be the Chevy and a Toyota back in row 12. That's Daniel Falkingham alongside Michael Guest. Back in row number 13 is Wyatt Gray, PGR 500 winner, alongside Josh Cruz in 26th position. Dylan Jones, he's still in the bracket. He'll have to race his teammate tonight. Daniel Eberhardt, those two back in row 14. And back at P29 is going to be Joshua McCullough. He'll have a teammate, and Ken McCullough Jr. to his outside in 30th. It's going to be Miles Bagley rounding out the rest of the field. Bagley actually not going to start this race. And without further ado, field ready to get going. Let's make it happen. The Final Four round is green at Daytona.
And you see already 3 wide action. Cody Nagels moved up to the middle lane, and then immediately they split out 3 wide. They saw at Talladega that it's very side draft heavy, side draft dependent in this car now, able to kill the bottom lane. But right now at Daytona, it's showing strong in the top and bottom side, but the middle going backwards with Brock Westmoreland. Here comes Cody Nagel's going to go. Look like, oh, late block, almost wrecks there. Malik Ray leads a chaotic first lap.
Yeah, chaotic to say the least. 3 wide already at the World Center of Racing. Nagels found himself hung in the middle, so he actually loses the lead. But it is going to be the 88 of Malik Ray. New paint scheme on board for his Chevy Camaro as he pokes the nose out in front. He'll have a decision to make off of turn 2. And very interesting, Baker. Obviously, you talked about the track temp, and you notice here on the bottom right of your screen, we're going to pull up the weather. I know it doesn't show track temp, but even air temp, 86 degrees. Track temp is nearing 130. clear skies, but even a little windy. Northeast at about 13 miles an hour. This could very well be some of the trickiest conditions we have seen these cars race in at this track. 2x2 now for the first 3 rows, but Cody Nagel still finds himself in the middle of 3 wide. 3 laps in the books here at Daytona, and right now the aggression is on at the front of the field.
Think about northeast winds. That's going to mean turn 2, that exit is going to be treacherous, pushing right in the face essentially, and it's going to really hurt the exit speed, and it's going to push cars up the track once these tires start to wear. Only 2 sets of tires in the pits for 60 laps at a really hot track temp. If you get in a wreck early, you're going to have to think about either saving those tires for the very end or, go with another strategy. But you see that middle lane, not really the strategy right now. Looks like the old next-gen package that we used to have, where it would send the middle all the way to the back. But Cody Nagels dives out of line on the bottom, and you see he's able to clear Jeff Merck, get up to that middle line, up to that top line, and now they're rolling 2x2 here as they come to the start-finish line.
And I know we got off to a little bit more of a chaotic start, but it is worth mentioning on the scoring tower, left side of your screen, the drivers that are highlighted in blue, those are the drivers left in the March Madness bracket. We mentioned this is, of course, the final 4. So 2 matchups left, 4 drivers total. Matthew Patton currently leads his battle. And then, of course, Michael Guest, Daniel Eberhardt, and Dylan Jones, the other 3 highlighted drivers who have a lot of work to do as they all currently run just outside of the top 20. 4 laps in the books here, and a couple of guys starting to duck out for a little bit of air down the super stretch here. But for Cody Nagels, he's been consistent. That middle line slowly but surely now trying to roll back just a little bit here as this race runs on. Baker, 50% fuel here tonight. I'm looking at about a 20-ish lap window in terms of when these guys would have to make a green flag pit stop, but never too early to start thinking about setting yourself up track position-wise. Right now, though, that top lane looking dominant. Hot track temp playing a role as Malik Gray continues to lead at Daytona.
Yeah, he's got 2 teammates behind him, Nathan Harper to Ethan Eckert. Nathan Harper made the move back from Jack Shack to Malik's team, so you're seeing those top 3 really dominate this high side, but the bottom side able to get all the way clear, and that is the 4 of Carson Freeman taking the top spot there. Now 4 lined up in a row on the top. But as you see entering turn 3, sorry to cut you off, but we ran this car. I did the 5 to go. They had the unofficial session last week, and it was a absolute blast to race when it was just solo drivers going at it with each other. I think it produces some of the best racing here at Daytona. I think once you see the teams start to figure it out, they're going to be able to compete there on the bottom side. You saw Freeman able to clear up to the top side. But right now, this top side absolutely dominant if they don't have team cars around them to really compete.
Yeah, it's certainly dominant at the moment. And, I was just going to note, Baker, there when you were talking, looked like we had one car with an issue in the back. It was actually Andrew Hansley in the 29 machine. He did fall to the tail end of the lead draft, but doesn't look like any major issues, so not sure what happened to that 29 car, but we'll be able to continue on as we stay clean and green so far with 6 of 60 laps in the books. Watch out, big wiggle in the middle right there. That was towards the front of the field. What a close call that was. I believe that might have been the 25 of Christopher Carter. He'll duck in line just behind Jeff Merck in the 60. Man, he got really out of shape in the middle. I'm not sure if that was a little bit of a push gone wrong. But man, now the 60 of Jeff Merck starts to wiggle as well. Watch out, another hit. That time it was Merck up into Nathan Harper. So contact continues here, Baker, and it starts to seem like maybe the handling already becoming an issue. We talked about the pushing changing a little bit in these cars. That is looking more noticeable now as well.
Carson Freeman up in the wall, trying to get out of the wall. He does. He's going to stack everyone up 3 wide and a 2x2 out front. Teammates 1, 2, 3 on the top side with Jeff Merck pushing Cody Nagels on the bottom side with Steve Sizemore, Brock Westmoreland all the way towards the back part of this. But, the top side really coming into play. You're going to see the Pied Piper move from Malik Ray, try and fend off that bottom line in the 88 Hellman's Machine Junior Motorsports entry. And as they move up the track, able to just, carry that momentum in this car. It's the thing about this car. It really takes a skilled driver to know how to manage the runs in the Xfinity car, O'Reilly car. It's a lot to handle for sure. Trying to manage temps for Nathan Harper. You see him pull down to the middle lane. Ethan Eckert going to go for a side draft with Max Dinda behind him. And really the bottom, a place to no end right now, unless they can get fresh temps there.
Yeah, obviously a lot that you got to keep in mind here if you are a driver in this pack, all while running really just feet apart. These guys were 3 wide early. They have started to kind of dwindle it down, at least for now. A lot more 2x2 as we ride on board here with Matthew Patton. Started in that 7th spot, has fallen back to 11th. But again, the story for him has really been the Cinderella story of the entire bracket. Had a couple of big matchups early on, but he survived around to 32. We have a caution. This is going to be for trouble further back in the field. Mike Davenport, Michael Guest, big trouble. Multiple cars scatter here across the tribal grass. Brock Westmoreland's in it, and this could have some bracket matchup busters here depending on who was all involved. A couple guys going to roll away. I see Joshua McCullough with damage. And that was one of the 3 cars. I don't think that was Matthew Patton. I believe that was actually Neil Meadows. Yes, that was the snap-on 3 machine. And so McCullough's just going to roll away. The 27's got damage. I mean, Baker, this was a big one, and it looks like it all broke out in the tri-oval.
Yeah, you see the 5 car. Neil Meadows looks like he's going to come up just a little bit, and as he does, you see the 27 coming down the track as well, but some big netcode in between the 5 and the 27.
You gotta wonder if... Oh, yeah, that was actually... I see what you're talking about there, and it looked like it almost started with a push between the 27 and the 8 of Brock Westmoreland there, and I don't know if they were stacking up out in front or if the 27 just gets a big run, but as he gets into the back of Brock Westmoreland, it almost jolts both of those cars down to the inside, and then there's the contact with Meadows that ultimately sparks this wreck. Brock Westmoreland, he's going to get turned down to the bottom of the racetrack. Becomes a moving roadblock here pretty quickly. Big hit for the 3. Davenport has absolutely nowhere to go. There's Michael Guest with some contact to the front nose of his car. Daniel Eberhardt went for a slide as well. So that is 2 of your final 4 drivers right out of the gate that were choosing to start this race a little bit further towards the back of the field, trying to just take it easy early, kind of mind your P's and Q's, and they have got damage early in what was a certainly unfortunate incident. But Baker, obviously, we keep talking about the track temp, but you also talked about the fact that it's a new car. I almost wonder if that was kind of a mixture of both right there with that initial push that led to a little bit of chaos that broke out right here.
And looks like some ARCA braking towards the back. He had Ricky Stewart plows into Wyatt Gray, absolutely destroys his car.
Tough break for all parties involved here. This is going to be interesting in terms of how it develops the pit strategy early. We've got a lot to break down here. I do want to get one more angle of this here before we do officially go back live and see if we can actually get more of an angle of what this looked like from the blimp view, because this took out a lot of cars. I mean, I counted probably between 5 to 10 different cars that were involved in this by the time it was all said and done. And again, watch it in full speed here and watch the checkup on the top lane. Sizemore backs it up maybe a little bit, but it's definitely not anything obvious. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a push gone wrong from the 27, and then everybody else gets collected. By the way, the 20 of Ricky Stewart, who you saw get involved on the onboard right there, looked like there was smoke out of the back of his car, so I believe his night is going to be done as well. So a tough break for a lot of drivers, and look at that 20 car, at least cosmetically, didn't look like there was a lot of damage. Surprised to see smoke out of the back in a night ender for him, I should say, but certainly part of the nature of the beast here when you come to Daytona. Well, if you're just joining us, first caution of the night here in 2026 PGR March Madness, by the way, presented by Sim Rat Market. We appreciate them for jumping on board for this event. Of course, they made their big debut during the PGR 500, sponsoring the Restart Zone. Those guys make some killer paints. If you are looking to have your car be nice and sporty, whether it's stock car racing, road racing, or anything in between, check out Sim Rat Market. Those guys will get you hooked up. They've got a website. Make sure that you do go get them checked out. All right, let's get ourselves set up here for what will be the first restart of the night here, Baker. Obviously, a lot of chaos early. And in fact, before I do ask you this question, Baker, I do want to see if we can maybe get down track side here. I know that Tyler Vickery's been keeping up to date with a lot of the chaos going on. Tyler, what have you heard on the radios, and what's going to come out of that first big caution that we saw?
It's mainly these guys are just trying to mind their P's and Q's. I know Wyatt Gray was on the radio earlier, just trying to stay in the back with the incident limit, incident limit reports and stuff. We're trying not to hit the incident limits. Also in the pits, Ricky Stewart, Michael Barksdale, Neil Meadows all had a meatball flag from that wreck, as well as Dustin Cowan as well also had a meatball flag, but I think he got that fixed as well. And then looking at a lot of the guys that are still in it for the brackets and stuff, especially for the main, everyone's still alive. Patton's looks like he's just gonna hang out in the front and try to survive as much as he can, because it's a big Cinderella story for him, and especially with everything that was going on with guests, he's just holding on as best he can and try to see if he can pull out a win.
Yeah, Cinderella story indeed. And Tyler, thank you for that update. You know, Baker, we're looking at the bracket here on the screen, and obviously we started with 32 drivers. Here we are with just 4 remaining. But you look at the journey for Matthew Patton. He had to beat, well, really a couple of strong names, but you look at what he had to go against right out of the gate. Nash Brambilla, that's obviously a very veteran driver. Then he had to beat a Coke Series driver, Malik Ray. That helped propel him into a battle between Caden Dieterich, and he kind of won that one by default, but here he is tonight having to go against Michael Guest. I mean, if this guy makes the championship, it's got to feel like a win in of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he two years in a row, he can't really call it an underdog story anymore if he's going to keep being there. He just puts his car in the right place in the matchups that he knows that some people are going to run up front, and he's just going to take what he can and take the positions he can, and a little bit of luck on his side. So maybe he'll get another lucky break here tonight.
We'll have to find out. And I agree, it starts to become less of an underdog story as you do it more and more often. But when you look at who you had to go against, definitely a very impressive run so far for the number 3 car. Green flag is back in the air here at Daytona. 12 of 60 laps in the books, and after early chaos, we're going to see if we can get this thing going a little bit more clean. Good restart for both lines. It's Nathan Harper with a little bit of an edge as they work off the banking into turn number 1. Malik Ray on the bottom of the racetrack. He's got some help here from Cody Nagels, but we've seen with this car in the past, it's all about which lane can get more help sooner. As Diamond starts to roll up to the back bumper. Big side draft here as they worked off of turn 2. Malik Ray is actually going to jump off the track. Not sure if that was an issue or by design for the 88 Chevy Camaro. That will allow Merck, Harper, and the 3 of Patton to get clear. Harper's going to lead the way into turn 3.
The 2x2 all the way throughout the field. Malik Ray, again, like you said, dropped towards the back. Jeff Merck going to take the lead. He had some unfortunate timing during the Old Farts race earlier. Whoa, one gets pushed off the track. Going to come back on through the grass. He saves it.
I believe that was Ken McCullough Jr. right there. Sorry to cut you off, Baker. And looking at it, the 03, I think, was the car that went for a really big slide. That was a heck of a save by one of the Money Racing veterans, Ken McCullough Jr. We've seen him have to do that a couple of times before, and I believe he's going to be able to hang on. You see Joshua McCullough, his teammate, just a car in front, trying to kind of bridge the gap between him and that lead draft to keep him connected. We'll keep tabs on that. Meanwhile, up front, Jeff Merck continues to lead the way. Patton is going to follow him down to the inside. 3 wide, and watch out, this is getting dicey. Little contact right there between Steve Sizemore and the 9 machine. That's Kevin Cunningham, one of the drivers that we don't see quite as often. Pretty good run so far in that SVG paint scheme. And now Christopher Carter with the Flying Aces 25. He'll find his way to the high side of the racetrack. 2x2 as they work down the short chute into turn number 1. We obviously talked about green flag stops pretty much in the tip of the broadcast, but with that early caution, definitely shuffles things up just a little bit. Baker, as a driver, when you get that early caution and you know the pit stop is going to be more prolonged, does that change your mindset to be more conservative, or do you still get out here and try to figure out what your car can do in the draft?
You know, I think with the less amount of cars, it's gonna mix it up. You know, we're not gonna have the caution fest that we're used to. Not much 3-wide racing happening right now. This is probably the perfect amount of cars I would want in this pack, about 20 cars. So I think, Steve Sizemore down into Buckingham just after we talked about no contact happening. But I really think you're going to see the top 4, except for Patton, honestly, right now, try and save their car and get to this pit stop so they can try and secure themselves in the championship.
I think for Patton, he knows he's got the advantage of the guy he was going against got involved in that early accident. Now, by no means was it a night ender for Michael Guest, but certainly put him a little bit further behind the sticks here, and journey he's going to have to make to get to the front of this field before it's all said and done. The guy who's got the best seat in the house, though, speaking of the front of the field, the 60 of Jeff Merck carrying the onboard view for us here tonight. Merck started in that 9th spot, did not take him long to find his way to first, and that was interesting right there. You actually heard him have to breathe out of the throttle just ever so slightly as they were coming off of turn 4. Normally not something you would hear in these race cars or at this track. But with as hot as the track temp is, and obviously the wind may be playing a little bit of a factor in this as well, it has been so far pretty tricky for these guys, especially when they've got 3 wide. That That's exactly what they're going to do further back. Cody Nagel's trying to get by the outside of Chris Carter. Just behind him, how about the 48 of Max Dine to try to make his way back to the front of the field. And here comes the 74 of Brian Hennings. Had a good qualifying spot inside the top 10, fell outside of the top 15. Here he is, Baker, trying to make his way back to the front of the field.
Yeah, while you were cut to Jeff Merck there, you had Kevin Cunningham, a newer name, out front here. He made a big bonsai move all the way from the top side to the bottom side, got under Patton, was going to push him and then dive bombed under him. Very, very big move from a driver that we are not familiar with as he rides here on the bottom side, pushing Jeff Merck. Not holding a very good line right now, but nonetheless, still up here in second place, leading this bottom line, pushing Jeff Merck along that number 60 Blue Angels machine.
And one of the things that I think pretty much every driver that you see in this field will tell you is the best way to get comfortable at the front of the field, and really any car at this level of super speedway racing, is you just got to go out there and do it. I mean, if you're one of the guys who doesn't race much and you just sit in the back, it's not as easy as you think to just go to the front and lead laps here. You've got to make sure that the guys around you are comfortable with you out in front, and that is exactly what Kevin Cunningham continues to do. Still 3 wide as the Hornet's Nest continues out back. Nagels to the bottom, watch out. 1 off the track. That's going to put him 4 wide. Carter down into Michael Guest. He'll go up the track. Caution back out as the 25 slides. He'll collect Tucker McClendon and come to a grinding halt below the apron just past pit road. And for the second time here tonight, Baker, it looks like a mixture of the track conditions paired with 3 wide racing leads us to another yellow.
It's all going to start around Weston Campbell. He's below the double yellow. Comes back up as Daniel Falkingham's getting to him. Knocks him out of caution. Knocks him all out of whack. They all try and save it, but Carter just gets doored and goes up and Dinda down into Guest. And chaos ensued from there.
Well, second incident tonight that Michael Guest has been involved in. He's probably thinking, guys, what do I got to do to catch a break? I don't want any piece of this. I'm just trying to get to the front, go battle my matchup. You know, interesting note, too, right there regarding that incident for, I would say, Wes Campbell, is that looked very similar to the contact and in a pretty similar spot on the racetrack, too, to where we saw that first caution. I mean, Daniel Falkingham gives him a push that I would say is pretty acceptable from what we've seen in this car in the past, but just doesn't work in this case. Gets the 83 sideways. I got to think the hot track temp making it a little bit harder for these guys to save it as they start to get sideways trying to miss it. And obviously, Carter getting the worst damage there. Tucker McClendon, some pretty notable contact, but at least from the replay angles, I don't think this one's going to be a night ender for either of those guys. Might have to watch it a little bit closer for Christopher Carter, but I would say, once again, more than anything, this is definitely going to shake up the strategy, which is not the first time that that's happened here tonight. As you see Carter slide down below the apron. I think it just happened a little bit towards the back half of the pack. Not a lot of other guys to miss it. And you see that was Joshua McCullough coming up on the incident. Going to be a big break for both him and Ken McCullough Jr. And before we get into the point I wanted to bring up, I do want to go back live here. You'll notice at the front of the field, the 60 of Jeff Merck continues to lead the way. Kevin Cunningham, who's had a great night so far, he's picked up 16 positions from where he started this race at. Currently sits in that second spot. Matthew Patton, who currently leads all of the final 4 drivers in the March Madness bracket, in third, Harper in fourth, and then Alexander Kroenke currently sits in that 5th spot. Well, in terms of pit stops, Baker, and when we'll go back green here, I still don't think everybody can obviously make it. And you can see here for Jeff Merck, he's going to bring it down, so he will top off on fuel. And to see, normally tires wouldn't be as much of a factor. You've only got a couple sets in pits, but as hot as the track temp is, Baker, I almost think depending on when these cautions fall, you got to consider actually taking 4 tires here tonight. And we will get back to Matthew Baker in just a moment, likely dealing with some of the race control as he is pulling double duty here tonight. But if you're just joining us, once again, second caution of the night here at Daytona. The PGR eSports 2026 March Madness presented by Sim Rat Market. A lot of exciting things coming soon for PGR, including the return of PGR Lite. The season kicks off, I believe, April 6th, and we are looking forward to that one. Going to be the biggest season so far. Looking forward to seeing everybody out on the racetrack. By the way, we do have one more week for March Madness. Obviously worth mentioning that will, of course, be the championship. But the way payouts were structured, was basically set up to where if you made it to the Final Four, you were automatically getting paid. And if you made it a little bit further to the championship, you're automatically getting paid even more. Now, obviously, the guy who is crowned the champion will take home the most money, but all things considered, lots of payouts here to go around in March Madness. Well, as we do slowly get ready to go that green, I do want to get back down track side to Tyler Vickery. Tyler, obviously, a lot of eyes on the matchups with the Final Four, but we've also got the losers bracket going on. What are some of the matchups that we can keep an eye on regarding that bracket here tonight?
Well, unfortunately, one has already been settled. Josh Cruz, who is one of the guys that made it into the semis, in a sense, the Final Four as well, was up against Hunter Hasting. Hunter Hasting was not here on track today, so Josh Cruz is going to advance to the championship match in that. The other big matchup is actually kind of a big heavy hitter matchup. Cody Nagels versus Nathan Harper. So that's going to be a fun matchup throughout the entirety of this race, where we're going to see who's going to be able to finish ahead of who. We know these guys are going to be top 5 drivers in this race. Strategy is going to be big. A lot of drivers were talking about tires as well. So that's going to be the biggest matchup there in the losers bracket, is Cody Nagels versus Nathan Harper, and whoever gets out on that, whoever can survive that, is going to go up against Josh Cruz.
That's a good note too. Tyler Vickery, obviously we talked about Cody Nagels getting the pole coming into this race tonight. He's been running top 5 just about all race long. He'll restart second on the inside line behind one of the guys that he is likely working with tonight, the NBG driver. That is Jeff Merck. New face, though, at the front of the field for this restart, Alexander Kronicki. We talk about him a lot, but in terms of the March Madness bracket, he did get eliminated a couple of rounds ago, so here he is tonight, trying to see if he can find victory lane to get himself a little bit of that momentum gained back. By the way, there is the race posted payouts, and that was based off of 40 entries, so it's going to be a little bit less than that. One thing that will likely not change, of course, though, is the bracket payouts. Top 5 payouts, though, in general here tonight. And so it's certainly going to be a little bit more of a challenge. When you look at a 30-car field, good news for the guys that are still running. It's been a battle of attrition. We've already seen a couple of guys get eliminated so far. We have still got a long ways to go in this one. Before we go back green, Baker, one of the things we saw just before that caution was 2 of the McCullough Motorsports drivers lose the draft. Now, obviously, those guys very experienced, and something that hadn't been an issue with this car before, but since the update, it seems like if you're the last car in line, it's a little tougher to keep up.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's tough for Josh McCullough. He's got about 6 more minutes of damage left, so that's probably was hindering Kenny McCullough there. Just trying to probably keep his car alive, though. Knows that it's going to be a little bit of a wreck fest, but now it's a cookie cutter strategy. It's a one-stop race from here. We'll see how it plays out, see what teams try and move their way to the front, and what big hitters try and solidify themselves as another PGR winner. As the green flag flies back in the air, Jeff Merck, good jump on the bottom side. Top side not get rolling at all. Cody Nagel's also going to clear there on the bottom. And 2 cars clear.
That was a big stack up on the outside as you got about 8-9 rows back. Michael Guest in the 54 had to really jam on the brakes to not cave in the nose of his Toyota Supra. He'll jump in line here behind quite a few heavy hitters. That's Malik Ray, Daniel Eberhardt, and Ethan Ecker all lined up back in the pack. And watch for those guys to maybe shoot the middle or play it conservative. You just heard Baker mention a solid one-stopper from here, so there shouldn't be a lot of fuel saving, but you do still have to make it through that pit stop to have a shot at the end of this race. Meanwhile, the top line, lots of momentum through that first lap. Jeff Merck on the top, currently leads Cody Nagels, Matthew Patton, and Steve Sizemore. Bottom going to try to roll back. Dylan Jones has now brought himself into the mix. Remember, he is going against Daniel Eberhard here tonight. And as it stands, those two separated by about 10 positions. Dyna going to jump back to the high side of the racetrack, 23 of 60 laps in the books, and so far, seems like with each restart, the racing calms down a little bit more. Jeff Merck, though, Baker, looking good out in front.
He's looking great. Blue and yellow Blue Angels machine doing a great job there on the top side. Patton doing great as well with Steve Sizemore. Oh, a little bit of a bumper hook there on the bottom side. Haven't seen that since the update. They've really hardened the nose cone of this car to make it a little bit easier to push. Dylan Jones going to give a push to Jeff Merck. Cody Nagels out of shape, but you're going to see that fight between Harper and Nagels. They're going to keep fighting back and forth. They know that they're fighting for a bracket position here in the losers bracket. Danny Falkingham pushing the back bumper of Nathan Harper. Brock Westmoreland having a great run so far there on the bottom line, number 8 machine, usually in the number 4. You got Steve Sizemore and Paint with the 8 there on the top side, third in line on the top with Weston Campbell having a great run here on the bottom side, avoiding the wrecks early. No, he was involved in that earlier incident, but came away scotch-free. Alex Kroenke also in the 57 machine doing a great job. Some newer names getting towards the front of this pack. And you see Daniel Eberhardt, he's going to go to the top. 3 wide. Here comes Max Dinda, going to also take a look upstairs. We're going to see if that 3 wide starts to work here. But I think you're going to see the big team. My biggest concern, not concern, but observation that I see right now, you know, Malik's team towards the back. What are they thinking? My thought is they're looking for 1 can. Everyone else probably going to have to go 2 cans here. They're looking to save to get that advantage down pit road. As soon as they know they can come down pit road, hit that pit stop, they're going to come down, try and take 1 can, catch these guys off guard. So they're running a real slow pace back there. They're going to do everything they can to try and get guests to that final championship spot here in March Madness. But there's a big separation between that first pack. It's about a 0.4 to 0.6 gap, you know, half a second. They'll be able to bridge back maybe, but Josh McCullough has a ton of damage.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to keep an eye on with that 05 car kind of being the bridge between that lead draft and the second group. Michael Guest with a big run here. We'll see if the 54 decides to go high or if he tries to push the 05. It definitely looks like for Joshua McCullough that damage is a little bit better than it was earlier, and I think that's the veteran experience for Michael Guest coming into play right there. He is content to right now just try to push Joshua McCullough back to the lead group. About 2 of the Coke guys, though, bumper to bumper, Guest and Malik Gray. You just heard Baker talking about those 2 working together tonight to try to get that 54 through to the championship matchup. At the front of the field, Jeff Merck still leads the way. You just saw him drop back down to the bottom. That inside had been making some pretty good hayway. You saw Dylan Jones with another big surge right there into turn 3, but definitely not able to slam draft in these cars quite as much as you used to. So you've got to be very, very careful with where and how you push even down the straightaway. 2 by 2 as Nagels will now take the lead as they cross the line. It is now officially 27 of 60 laps complete here at the World Center of Racing. So we're getting close to that halfway point, and as you also heard Baker mention, the little bit of mind games and the little bit of strategy that could make all the difference, taking maybe a couple of gallons less worth of fuel, or maybe 1 can less. It doesn't sound like a big advantage, and if it was a pit stop under yellow, it's probably not. But when it's under green flag conditions and you've got a group of 4 or 5 drivers that really know how to run smooth and fast around this racetrack, they pull a strategy like that, they are trying to run away from everybody else, and they may very well do it. Daniel Eberhardt starting to pick it up just a little bit now as he was able to squeeze a gap between Brock Westmoreland and Dylan Jones. So the 90 is going to try to get in front of his teammate right here. We'll see if he decides to drop down to the inside. Still 3 wide. Oh, man, that got really tight. Jeff Merck was trying to play a little bit of both lines right there. Daniel Eberhardt got up top and was able to get by the 60. That broke off the momentum, though, and really allowed Nagels to surge. Looks like Eckert's in the wall a little bit further back.
Keeping Eckert up in the wall, voicing his displeasure to Steve Sizemore right there. But another, oh my goodness, Daniel Eberhardt almost loses it in the middle. Another note for Michael Guest here. This is probably why he's playing it safe. He is at a 12 incident limit, or 12 incident points. He gets to that 16, that's going to be a drive-through. So you're going to see him play it as conservative as he possibly can. Maybe not make that move that Wyatt Gray was thinking about to the top 3 wide. So he's going to really try and ride towards the back here.
That's actually a really good point that you just brought up, Baker. Again, I was not here last week, so I forgot to even mention that at the tip of the show. But yes, with the semi-new rule, if you will, as we watch out here, Christopher Carter on the outside wall. That's going to be a big check because everybody's got to sneak by. Are they going to get through okay? It looks like everybody does, so Carter will drop to the back of this group and line back up.
Oh, Brock Westmoreland!
Oh, man, that's a big hit to the outside wall for Westmoreland. 2 cars in total collected as the caution flies, and guess what? Daniel Eberhardt, one of the final 4 contenders involved in this one. And I think every caution we have had so far tonight has found a way to involve some of the March Madness drivers. 3rd caution of the night, by the way. It looks like these 2 are going to get away mostly unscathed. I thought for Brock Westmoreland it may have been a bigger hit off the initial view. I don't see any smoke out of the back. It looks like all 4 tires on both of those cars are relatively straight. So the hope here is that they don't have too much damage. This will now set us up for an even more interesting pit strategy, as it will still be a one-stopper. These guys are going to be about only 10 laps away from being inside of that fuel window. Let's go back and take a look at what happened here. It's all going to start as they're going down the backstretch, and it was Brock Westmoreland, the first car out of shape. We're going to rewind this a little bit here. Now watch this from the aerial view. I wonder here if, for Brock, let's see here. As they're coming off of turn 2, is it another push gone wrong? Eberhardt's going to size him up. No. Eberhardt actually goes to look high, and I think Brock tries to cover. And just, Eberhardt's already there. I think he kind of caught him off guard, maybe a little bit by surprise. And for Brock Westmoreland, once he goes up into the outside fence, those two just get hooked together. But, all things considered, Baker, if you're going to wreck after that initial contact, maybe the best way for it to play out, those two scrub off a little bit of speed and don't collect anyone else or make the situation any worse for themselves.
Yeah, just unfortunate. Eberhardt made a move in time, I think, to the top. Brock reacted to it, just not in time, and up into the wall Brock goes. He'll get a black flag, a 30-second hold.
That will also add to the incident count, by the way, for the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. Remember, he spun through the grass earlier, so I'd be very curious to see where he stands, because we were just getting ready to talk about the issues for Michael Guest regarding that incident count, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Watch this again here. Actually, back that up one more time. Watch how quick this happens. I mean, Daniel Eberhardt, we call him one of the best in super speedway racing for a reason. Watch how quick he makes this move. Right as the car is unloading from the banking, so it kind of helps make him be able to float up to the high side even quicker. He just gets up there so fast that I just think Brock misjudged it, as you heard Baker mention, and just a late cover. I mean, early on in this race, but obviously Brock Westmoreland, knowing the important track position, trying to do anything he could right there to find a way to keep it. So Eberhardt does get by. You see him have to go on the apron there, albeit briefly. And these two, the only 2 cars collected in that one, is everybody now leaving the pits, and it's actually going to be the 39 of Daniel Falkingham who comes out as your race leader this time. So he is now at 22 spots from where he started this race at. Matthew Patton in second. It's going to be Cody Nagels in third. And you've got Nathan Harper fourth, and Max Dinda currently rounding out the top 5. Well, Baker, I wanted to get back to this point here that we started to mention right before that incident took place, and that is, of course, the incident count, a relatively new rule added to PGR, and similar to what we see, obviously, in the official races, where whenever you get an X, which can be, of course, a variety of different things, and you can get a certain amount of X's for different things. For example, if you run into another car, it can be a certain amount of incident points. If you go off track, it can be a certain amount of incident points. Or if you hit the wall. All those things go into account, and if you get 16 incident points or more, then you have to serve, obviously, that drive-through penalty. I believe it might be 17 or more. You got to serve that drive-through penalty, whatever way it works. And I assume, is it set up, Baker, now where if you get a certain amount, you can also be DQ'd?
Yeah, but it's going to be a black flag drive-through for 16X, and Michael Guest, he's at a 14X now. I don't know where he got his 2, but he is right on the brink of turning this race upside down and putting Patton in a way better position than he thought he would be, and doing a great job.
Yeah, that's a really, really tough spot to be in, because obviously you want to show aggression, but man, that's a tough call. It almost adds a little piece of strategy, I feel like, to some of the drivers of, if you're that close and you know at the end of this race there's a good chance there will be some contact, do you just force yourself to take that 2X early and go serve the black flag drive-through and then try to come back out knowing maybe you've got hopefully at least a 4X or something? Definitely a tough spot, and in all fairness to Michael Guest, from what we've seen at least, he's been involved in a few incidents, but none of them have actually been of his causing. Obviously, the downside of adding the incident count, but on the bright side, the idea is that it keeps the racing a little bit cleaner, and if there's any guys that are consistently causing a problem on a certain night, they will be eliminated a lot sooner than with the previous system. So as we line back up here to go back to green flag racing, obviously a few developments here, and the field continues to thin out each and every caution as we see more cars with damage. And Tyler, I want to head back down to you now, because obviously as we get ready to go back to green flag racing, have you heard any chatter either on the radios or seen anything across the streams of these guys talking about what they might want to do for strategy for this final pit stop?
I think it's mainly just fuel at this point. A lot of drivers earlier were talking mainly about tires, taking tires early when it got closer to halfway, a little bit beforehand, and then primarily just focusing on trying to fuel save as much as they can. And everyone's mainly looking at it as a one-stop strategy now at this point. It's still very early in the run, so a lot of people are going to do what they can to save as much fuel as they can to be ready for that last little green flag stop if and when it happens.
It's going to be interesting to watch here as the lights on the iRacing.com pace car are off. So we will see another restart here after our third caution of the night. If you're just joining us, we appreciate you being here. The final 4 round of March Madness continues here at the World Center of Racing. Green flag back in the air. It's going to be 28 laps to go here at Daytona. Big jump at the front of the field for Daniel Falkingham, and he's going to have a very interesting choice here. Looks like he will go to the high side. He's going to cover the big run for Matthew Patton. As those two get linked up into turn 1, they'll go all the way up to the outside wall. Cody Nagel's trying to get connected on the bottom with Max Steinda, but no push there yet. And here goes Nathan Harper. He'll dip down for a little bit of a side draft. And so important in these cars. Baker, one of the newer things we obviously saw with the update to these cars that, you know, a lot of drivers, it used to be a big problem in the next-gen cars, but in these it's definitely different. Is when you get that big side draft, the car on the outside pulls you back, but it also feels like it pulls the car to the right. And when you start running 3 wide like they're at the front now, that can get really, really dicey.
Yeah, you see Daniel Falkingham pull low out. Good move by Josh McCullough there to get in line to the bottom, but here comes the top side with Malik Ray pushing on that outside line. Going to hang out Patton in the middle. Oh, big move from Cunningham to the middle. Oh my goodness, what a move. Going to try and clear himself to the top. He does not. Comes up into the left front of Daniel Falkingham. That's, you know, a newer driver out here. He's trying to learn who he's racing around. He's racing against the 3 best there on the top side. Bottom side pushing good, though. Nathan Harper, Wyatt Gray on the bottom. It's going to stack him just a little bit, but I'm going to see Nathan Harper maybe clear up if he can. He does not. So the bottom side still rolling strong. Big side draft coming from the top, however. That's going to separate Nathan Harper. Max Dinda a little bit out of shape there on the bottom. That'll stack everyone else up.
You're definitely right about the learning experience there for Cunningham as he falls way outside of the top 10 with that move to the middle. Didn't get a lot of help. Now it's going to be Dylan Jones who actually finds himself kind of as the odd man out up top. Mike Davenport trying to help him get this third lane spark, but there's not a lot of momentum as now the 55 is going to actually get into the outside wall. That'll kill what was really much of a third lane at all, but Jeff Merck going to go back to the high side here. 2x2 at the front of the field. Daniel Falkingham leads the way, and there's the move from Malik Ray, Michael Guest. And man, Falkingham a little late on that little contact right there, but I think Malik cuts him enough of a break. These guys content to work together for now. It will be a different story once we get to the end of this race. Steve Sizemore trying everything he can to push Kroenke back to the front on that high side. And oh man, here comes the pit stops. And this is going to be a little bit earlier than expected. 26 to go, but this is the confidence in the strategy. If you pit now, these guys feel like they could be the fastest group remaining. Let's see here.
I mean, those are all of the heavy hitters. That's your MBG boys. That's your Malik Ray team. That's going to be the race for the win right here. Dinda able to get down pit road as well.
A race for the win, but obviously it's going to be the race out of pit road first. Fuel only, as Tyler Vickery noted. That is going to be the call for everybody that pits this time. And it looks like most of them got through clean. The rest of the drivers that you see on the pits, I believe, are guys that may have had some damage. And it'll be very interesting to see. Does this force pit stops for the rest of the group as they come off of turn 4?
As they come out of turn 4, you're probably going to see maybe a couple down pit road. Josh McCullough, actually almost everyone's going to come down here. Steve Sizemore, Alex Kroenke can be the only one to stay out with Weston Campbell, so everyone else down pit road.
There's a couple of big lockups right there. That is all due to that really hot track temp, obviously, over 130 degrees. As these guys will make it to their pit boxes. Very important, too, to not slide through your box. Obviously, even a half a second can cost you the draft here at Daytona when it comes to these green flag pit stops. And tough break right there. That's exactly what Brian Hennings just did as he slides way through his box. So the 74 with an issue there. Everybody else gets out pretty clean as they're going to go 3 wide here. You got to be careful Quicker you sort this out, the better trouble.
They wreck!
And that's Daniel Everhart, one of the final 4 contenders. Caution's going to fly just before that lead group caught him. And this is going to cause all sorts of chaos for the track position.
You had to throw it there. 3 more cars off the racing surface getting together and in the pit lane. Unfortunate there. Let's go back, see what happened there. It looked like Kevin Cunningham may have shoved it in the middle, 3 wide coming on pit exit. Just no room there, really, and causes that.
Yeah, and that's a tough break, too, because we saw him going 3 wide coming out of the pits. And, you know, usually there's always a little bit of unspoken give and take, if you will, especially when it comes to trying to get off the pit stops clean, because the quicker that you're able to get together, and obviously single file, the better of a shot you're going to have. And they were stuck 3 wide right here. The big question was going to be who gives a little bit away, and none of them did. You know, that's a tough one for me. It'd be interesting to see who Race Control does call this on, because obviously Cunningham had been in the middle here for quite some time, and it does look like he may have sparked the contact. It almost also looks like he was trying to back out of it at the time. Either way, a tough break, but also a big break at the same time, because for Daniel Everhart, if caution doesn't come out right there, his race is done. I mean, he loses the lead draft and has no chance at trying to advance through to the championship, so at least with that caution coming out, he will live to fight another day. But obviously, if anybody gets EOL'd in this, it's going to be a bad time in the race for that to happen as we close in on 20 laps to go. Got it again here from turn 1 entry view, and talked about lucky that lead pack wasn't about 400 to 500 yards closer, or this could have been really, really chaotic, as a couple of guys actually back there had to jam on the brakes. Almost caused a couple of incidents towards the back, but everybody was able to hang on to it and keep it clean. So 4th caution of the night, and this is going to cause a shuffle at the front of the field as well. I mentioned it was a big break there for Daniel Everhart, but also a big break for the guys who hadn't pit yet, as they were able to go in, top off, and keep a pretty good amount of track position in the process.
The guy who really lucked out there was Brock Westmoreland. He'd had the 1 lap hold, put him a lap down. Now he's able to get back onto the lead lap, it looks like.
That would be a big break indeed for Brock Westmoreland, who obviously we saw involved in that incident earlier with Daniel Everhart. And speaking of Everhart, we talked about Guest and the amount of incident points he had. Well, for Everhart, that was more contact. He has got to be getting close, I would think, to that 16 limit incident count before you have to serve a penalty. So something to keep in mind for him as well as we get closer to the end of this race. Meanwhile, pit road's still a pretty busy place here. We've got a mix of some cars trying to get damage fixed, and other guys just maybe topping off on fuel. Looks like Andrew Hansley in the pits. Tucker McClendon was getting some damage still hammered out of that race car. And then in the background there, Brock Westmoreland, as he will come in for a little bit of service here and then catch up to the back of the group just in time to get back to green flag racing. When we do go back to green, it is going to be less than 20 laps to go here from the World Center of Racing. And the man who leads them all right now is the 83 of Wes Campbell. Only 2 drivers left in the Final 4 bracket going to advance through to the championship. We're going to find out who they are when we come back. We're going to go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us here at Daytona.
couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. March Madness, the final 4-round continues here tonight, presented by Simrat Market. We get ready to go back green here, and we're starting to slowly but surely close in on the end of this one. It's going to be Wes Campbell and Jeff Merck that lead us back to green after wrapping up the 4th caution of the night. And we should now be all good to go to the finish. Nobody going to need to pit again for fuel. It's going to be all about trying to grab the win at the World Center of Racing. Green flag back in the air. Good restart at the front. A little bit of checking up out back once again. But it looks like everybody is going to be able to get through the gears cleanly as they climb the banking into turn 1. Already 3 wide. How about Malik Gray in the 88? He'll jump to the high side, and he's going to pick up some help from his teammate Wyatt Gray. Eberhard finds himself split in the middle. Cody Nagel's trying to give some assistance, but nothing doing it just yet. Now Jeff Merck and Joshua McCullough. Interesting choice right here. Josh is going to go to the high side. Jeff Merck will follow. And just like that, Malik Gray and Wyatt Gray have jumped 5 positions over the course of half a lap.
Yeah, they got 3 cars lined up there up top, and teammates, and Wyatt Gray, Ethan Eckert, Malik Gray. They're going to be looking for the right rear. Josh McCullough as much as they want, but Josh can do a great job protecting. He knows how this car works. He knows how the draft package works. And the name of the game is going to be survival for Daniel Ibarra. He's at a 10X. Michael Guest at a 14X. 2 championship contenders in this Final 4 with real big issues. Another car that had issues, great revving up front. Steve Sizemore had some internet issues, and his day is done. He was having a great run up to that point. But big side draft on the top side from the team of Malik Gray and Wyatt Gray. Ethan Eckert not giving any room to the middle. That's where Guest sits, is right in the middle. I don't think they want to do anything to compromise his chance of getting to the championship. But you know, it's all gas, no brakes now, with coming to 18 to go, lap 42 coming to 43.
Yeah, these guys don't care about who's in the bracket and who's not. They know there is still big money on the line tonight. And everybody going to continue to try to shuffle up inside the top 5. 18 laps to go now as we cross the line. And remember, track temp over 130 degrees here. It's been hot pretty much all race long. That has led to a lot of chaos up to this point. If you're just joining us, trouble. Further back, one's going to spin. Do they save it? Back into the outside wall. It's Ken McCullough Jr. He's going to get collected with Kevin Cunningham. This is now going to bring out your 5th caution of the night. And just as we were getting ready to go back through your race recap, we have got another shuffle. And the way that this one's going to play out here for Ken McCullough Jr., smoke out of the back. He's going to make another hit off the inside safer barrier, so his night is done. I believe we had a couple of others involved in this one. Curious to see if anybody else got significant damage or not. So let's go back and look at this here, break this down from really where it started. And, you know, Baker, we were just talking about how aggressive these guys are getting at the front, and see, was there contact here? Let's go back to TV3. Actually, it's not, that angle's not quite doing it. Here we go. Watch from TV1. Ken McCullough Jr. Ooh, I think there might have been a little bit of contact between him and then the right front of Michael Guest. That's what gets him sideways, and then obviously a lot of momentum behind him for guys like Falkingham and Brian Hennings. They can't really check up much. And then as he gets into the outside wall, here comes the mad scatter. Hennings takes a couple of pretty big shots here, but nothing like Ken McCullough Jr., where you see he gets that second big hit and then third hit. As Falkingham and then Cunningham both made impacts with that car. And as it all settles out, I do think it's only going to be a night ender for the 03, but another one of those incidents, Baker, where, you know, obviously we're starting to get late race, and these guys have to start side drafting a little bit tighter, and we'll look at it from an aerial angle there, but it just looked like just a little bit of contact between the 03 and the 54 was really all it took to spark this one up.
Yeah, and it really starts from the 83. The 83 comes up the track about a lane and a half, and you know, Guest is sitting on a 14X now. You're looking at a drive-through for him, so his championship hopes are dwindling at this point. But he's trying to just avoid contact. It's no fault to his own for trying to get up there. It just gets into Ken 83 runs him out of space, so that'll be on the 83.
Yeah, Michael Guest did do everything he could right there from that point of view to try to find a way to avoid both guys, but it just didn't happen there, and that's a tough break. So like I said, I think overall the incident count system is for the better, but man, in a situation like tonight, I think Michael Guest is the perfect example of, I don't want to say what's wrong with the incident system in this case, but what's wrong with the entire safety system that iRacing has created. And obviously, it's the best you can do for a simulation. Not everything can be perfect at times, but in this case, it is certainly going to hurt Michael Guest's chances at trying to advance through to the championship. So as we go back live now, again, 5th caution of the night. And so we will now see a restart inside of 15 laps to go, as Jeff Merck still leads the way. It's going to be Joshua McCullough second, Dylan Jones third. And you've got Daniel Everhart and Malik Ray rounding out the rest of the top 5.
Looking at the incident limit, looks like Guest, yes, indeed, will get a drive through, and so will Kevin J. Cunningham hitting the 16x limit. Next people up to tap for that would be at 12x with Weston Campbell, Tucker McClendon, Mike Davenport, Brian Hennings, all sitting at a 12x. So look out for them to try and avoid any contact as possible. We got meatball flags in the air for Daniel Falkingham, meatball flag in the air for Kenny McCullough as well. Probably some wheel damage from Daniel Falkingham, so unfortunate. Maybe into his night if he can't get all that damage repaired off. But want to shout out our sponsor again, Simrat Market. Thanks for them coming on board for this entire March Madness. It's been a ton of fun. If you want to get some good custom paints, I do so myself. Use code PGR eSports, 10% off your first order. And really great paints. Thank you to them for the support throughout this entire March Madness, and look forward to partnering with them in the future.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Simrat Market, and a lot of big things coming up. The PGR Light Series still looking for some sponsorship, so if you're interested in that, you can certainly contact Matthew Baker or Michael Triscaro regarding those details. And I'll tell you what, with as big of an event as the PGR 500 was this year, I'm looking forward to our next big trademark event. Obviously, I know we're in the middle of March Madness, but for some of these guys, maybe looking forward to getting back to the weekly Intimidator Superspeedway Series races. And it'll be interesting to see how we line up here if you're Jeff Merck. I was just going to say, does he take the inside or does he take the outside? And it looks like that 60 machine will choose to take the outside. So for Jeff Merck right here, I think he feels pretty confident that that outside obviously is going to have a lot of momentum once you get to the back stretch of the first lap, and maybe a little bit easier to maintain even in the first couple of corners. You can utilize that side draft and try to keep that bottom at bay. For Jeff Merck, there's the onboard view again, and a little bit of a different paint scheme, obviously the Blue Angels, but for Jeff Merck, could this be the night that he finds victory lane here at Daytona? We'll have to continue to watch and find out, but starting to run out of time here, Baker, to get to the front, and obviously we talk about the incident count, we talk about the track conditions. It's been tough tonight to really just be at the front in general, much less have to try to tear through 15 or 20 cars in the span of 10 to 15 laps.
And excited for this restart here. It's going to be right at 15 laps to go, or sorry, 14 laps to go when we take the green flag. Jeff Merck ran a great race up here. So was Malik Ray, trying to go back-to-back. Joshua McCullough had some damage early on. I cannot believe that he is up front where he is, with Nathan Harper pushing him on the bottom and Daniel Everhart. It should be a good restart. Has been a good race so far, but really excited to see where this race all unfolds.
We're going to have it all right here on PGR eSports. If you're just tuning in, you picked a good time to do so as we close in on the end of this one. Scheduled distance, by the way, 60 laps. Obviously, we're going to be closing in here probably right around 13-ish laps to go. But then you factor in the fact that, you know, we could have overtime. We see it a lot of weeks. That is not something you want to bank on. And you look at the guys that are highlighted in blue on the scoring tower, left side of your screen. They are all within the top 10. So the battle to make it to the March Madness Championship is still on. Here we go as Merck rolls back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. 14 laps to go at Daytona.
Topside really formed up. Jeff Merck going to get a good push, but he's got 3 teammates behind him that are lined up against him. Cody Nagels, he's going to get lined up. Harper thought he was clear. He was not.
Watch out here. It's outside
Dylan
line.
tried to get up. Ethan drags his brake. Sorry to cut you off, but it looked like Ethan Eckert really dragged the brake there to get Dylan not clear up to the top side.
They're going to single file out really, really quickly on that top lane. I mean, look how far back it goes here. Right now, Jeff Merck leads him, but I think he's got to feel like a sitting duck right here. We'll see how long Malik Ray and company are content with sitting behind this 60 car. They've got a couple of objectives. One of them is to get that 54 to the front. And here he comes, the 54, Michael Guest, unimpeded, but now he's going to pull down to make that drive-through penalty. And so that is going to be a very tough break for the 54. You see the 9 of Kevin Cunningham coming in as well. And so those two at least playing some strategy in a bad situation there to try to stay together so that they can keep some sort of draft and hope for a caution before this thing is all said and done. At the front of the field, Jeff Merck has started to lead that high side back down to the middle. Malik Ray is still content to ride in line. And that Hyman's number 88 machine to the inside. Daniel Eberhardt getting a big push right now from one of the Team PGR drivers. It's Mike Davenport, Dylan Jones behind him. That inside Baker just continues to struggle right here. I think the top has got better numbers, but Eckert with the big split on Joshua McCullough, that's going to put him 3 wide back for 4th.
And you see Malik Ray going to call Jeff Merck to stay to the middle. Wyatt Gray going to go up, so is Malik Ray. Jeff Merck covers the top. They're working well with him as they come to 12 laps to go. It'll be 11 next time by. Daniel Eberhardt doing a great job on the bottom.
He's got to be careful here. That big side draft from the middle line. Close to banging doors here off of turn number 2. Tight quarters racing here down the super stretch, but the high side continues to be favorited. That is what we thought was going to be the case here at the start of this race. And all that hot track temp continues to make pushing a key part to this game. By the way, if you are just joining us, quick look at the race recap. 49 of 60 laps in the books so far. Jeff Merck, your current leader. We've had 9 lead changes and 5 cautions that have spanned over 14 laps. So all things considered, a fair amount of green flag racing so far here tonight, but as we close in on 10 laps to go, I got to think that could change. Daniel Eberhardt starting to get desperate here on the bottom. It just seems like him and Dinda have not quite been able to link up the way that they would like to, and really nobody on the bottom or middle line has Baker. Is this just these guys don't have the temps to do it, or is it just more tricky with this car?
I think it's just a little more tricky with this car. But you see this top side still rolling, top of 3 wide. Jeff Merck doing a great job. But some people asking for some clarification on the restart. A little bit of brake drag, and like I called it with Ethan Eckert there on the restart. Looked like Wyatt Gray. Oh, Cody Nagel's down into the inside, but they keep it together. Top 11 rolling strong with Malik Ray, Wyatt Gray, Josh McCullough. Bottom's got Nathan Harper, Ethan Eckert. We'll see how this plays out, but a lot of teammates around each other.
And from that checkup, Kroenke is going to be put in the sucker hole. He'll fall all the way to the back of the field as Jeff Merck leads up front. Jeff Merck showing that veteran experience right here as he went down for the side draft. He gave Malik Ray the opportunity to cool, but watch out, contact. Eberhardt, Malik Ray trying to battle for that middle line. Now more contact. Joshua McCullough got stuck together with Max Dinda. That almost got those two hooked around. Everybody is going to save it, but you're starting to see a little bit of elbows out racing here as we close in on the end of this one. These guys are fighting for lane choice, and as Nathan Harper jumps back to the high side, the bottom is starting to catch up for the lead.
Oh man, one in the outside wall. Looked like Matt Patton possibly, but he's able to hang on to it. He just needs to play a safe game here to get himself to the championship. He's got 8 laps to go here, actually 9. As Ethan Eckert, he's going to take the lead with Nathan Harper up front. And really good teamwork going on. Jeff Merck going to hang a right on Nathan Harper. He's going to get to the outside, going to hang him out to dry. Here comes Ethan Eckert up. Now that's going to put the cards into Malik's hand. Does he discard a Jeff Merck? He knows that Nathan Harper, the teammate, just got discarded. So it's going to be, what will Malik Ray do here? He backs off, doesn't look for a run. He's working well with Jeff Merck here through these final stages, but will he take that right rear? I think he will as it comes to laps down.
Jeff Merck maybe thinking about looking for the right rear here on Ethan Eckert. I don't think that would be the right move right now, knowing that for Eckert at least, he's got a teammate in Malik Ray back there if the 60 does try to split him. But man, if that bottom could just get organized enough to get up here, it would provide some opportunity not only for Jeff Merck, but for a lot of these guys and it almost surprises me that they continue to race 3 wide. I mean, every week we hear these guys talking about it's the same guys up front. You know, we got to beat them, we got to do this, but I mean, you got to work together at some point if you want to go against the bigger teams, and just haven't seen that so far. As now Nagels and a couple of others are going to try the middle once again.
See Malik Gray pull with Wyatt Gray down to the inside. Ethan Eckert comes down. They're going to side draft, hanging Josh McCullough to the top side, but that's going to give the top a little bit more momentum out of the corner. No push there on the outside, though. With teammates lined up here. Oh! Almost a self-clear. Still almost wrecking. One to the outside wall. Tucker McClendon around. There goes Max Stein to cautions. Nope, it's not going to come out. Just one down to the exit.
And for Max Steinda, this could be a race-ending spin right here. Doesn't look like, obviously, that caution's going to fly. It was only one car that went off the racetrack. For Dinda here, did he save it? I think he did. The 48 continues to roll on. Don't see a lot of damage, but he has lost touch with the lead pack, and that was a big stack-up that all started when some contact sent a few cars into the outside wall. Looked like Joshua McCullough and Brian Hennings. And so now, all of a sudden, this gives even more dominance to those front 3 cars. Make it front 4. As they all continue to work together. Jeff Burke still the odd man out for Daniel Eberhardt. Continues to try everything he can to get this bottom line moving forward, but he just can't get the help. Top's going to roll again as Nagels, Jones, and Joshua McCullough arrive back on the scene.
You see, here goes Cody Nagels to the middle, going to try and clear himself in front of Daniel Eberhardt. He does. Here comes a side draft from the bottom, however, or from the top. You see Eberhardt, he's going to get back in line, get up in front of his teammate Dylan Jones. And Wyatt Gray going to keep protecting that outside line. Ethan Eckert doing a great job up front with Jeff Merck. Jeff Merck really using this to his advantage, but they're going to try and split him to the middle. They do not get there, though. Wyatt Gray, he has to protect his right rear. Puts Malik Gray up the track, and here comes the middle. Trying to get formed up now. Will Cody Nagels move up and try and get a push? He does. Comes up to the middle line. How can they make this work? How can Jeff Merck make this work to try and get himself to the lead?
And this is what I feel like you have to do. I think Daniel Eberhardt and Cody Nagels are playing this about as best as you can. When you've got a group of that many teammates up on the high side, the only way you're likely going to beat them is if you try to start breaking them up or getting in front of them before the white flag. We're coming to 4.5 laps to go as they work down the super stretch, but if you try to wait until the end of this race, I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to get by all 4 of those cars that are showing so much dominance on the high side of the racetrack. So you've got to try to do it now, but the top's still very, very dominant. Ethan Eckert doing a great job of leaving a little bit of air for Jeff Merck to breathe the engine of that car. And if he's got temps to push on the last lap, you know he will do just that. For Daniel Eberhardt and Dylan Jones, by the way, don't forget, they're teammates, but they are also going against each other in terms of where they run in the March Madness bracket. One of those two going to make it to the championship, and Baker, you touched on this earlier, but I think if I'm Matthew Patton here running towards the back of this group, I'm dropping out of the pack and just keep in touch with the draft. I don't care where I finish tonight. I want to make the championship next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I'm Patton, I'm trying to drop all the way out of this and ride on the bottom in the very back, because you know when they wreck, they're going to self-clean and come up to the top side. So if you're Patton, I want to get out of this situation as much as I can. But, you know, he's trying to keep his track position because he knows a late race caution could happen. And if it does, that puts Guest right back in the ballpark. So he wants as much as a buffer. So it's, you know, a darn if you do, darn if you don't situation. But he's playing it pretty well. I think he's playing it as safe as he possibly can.
Well, if we're going to get a late race caution, it's going to happen within one of the next 2 laps. Just 7.5 miles left to go here at the Virtual World Center of Racing, as we may have had some trouble. No. Joshua McCullough looked like he got a big side draft there on Wyatt Gray. Thought they may have had contact, but instead the 05 not quite as much momentum as he may have thought he had. And he'll have to drop back down in line. We'll see where Joshua McCullough chooses to go, but tell you what, man, Baker, the way it's lining up here, I think this is the shot right here for Nagels. He's got a big surge on the inside. If he doesn't get clear, I don't know if these guys are going to have enough to get back in front of the 12 of Ethan Eckert.
Yeah, side by side, Josh McCullough is still looking for the right rear. What that's doing, though, is it's killing the top line. Every time Josh McCullough pulls out a line, it kills that top line momentum. They get it right there because they're trying to push through on the bottom side. And you see the top side really rolling here with Ethan Eckert. Sorry, they're talking on the comms. And Brian Hennings looks like he's getting the black flag.
It's a tough break, too. The 74 PGR eSports machine, Brian Hennings. So that will put an end to his night as well without a caution. And We're going to be coming to the white flag if these boys can hold it together for one more lap. Maybe a little contact there towards the back with Jones and Davenport. Now the move's on. They're all going to leave Jeff Merck out to dry. There goes Malik Gray and Wyatt Gray to the bottom. Eckert's going to cover. And now it's going to be interesting to see how they shuffle it up. They weren't able to bring the 18 of Wyatt Gray clear up. So where does Malik and Ethan Eckert go? They're going to go right back to the high side. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go in a round of 4 at Daytona.
Topside rolling with Malik Ray pushing Ethan Eckert. Jeff Merck really in no man's land right now. He wants to think to the inside. Cody Nagels pushing Wyatt Gray. Teammates 1, 2, 3 right now. Where will the move come? Will they go to the middle? I think they're going to try and pull the middle straight down. Cody Nagels not able to go anywhere. Here comes Jeff Merck. Cody Nagels. Oh, big move. Big block. Malik. Wyatt, double blocks, huge block to Cody Nagels.
Yeah, and you knew that was coming. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, the 12 of Ethan Eckert still leads. Jeff Merck trying to find a way around. He may have some help from Joshua McCullough. Not going to go yet. Now the 60 goes to the inside. No help, and once again, it is all dominance at the front. Ethan Eckert wins the round of 4 at Daytona. Malik Ray is going to finish second. Joshua McCullough third. And everybody else scrambles to sort out the rest of the top 5. Oh, man, one goes into the catch fence past the line. But I'll tell you what, Baker, I know from our point of view, we pretty much knew exactly how that was going to play out on the white flag lap. And you got to give them credit. Once again, they sorted out just the way they need to. And it just seemed like nobody else could work together long enough to get past that group of 3.
And a great showing again by Matthew Patton. Top 5 for him. He places in the money. And he moves on to the championship. I mean, the Cinderella story continues. And you got Dylan Jones, Daniel Eberhardt. Looks like he's going to finish in 20th. Dylan Jones in 14th. He will move on.
And Patton obviously proving us wrong with the idea of sitting back and riding in the pack, because he's going to get the best of both worlds tonight. As you just mentioned, getting the money and moving on to the March Madness Championship. For Ethan Eckert, obviously a multiple-time winner in PGR, but he is going to add to the tally here tonight. He tries to catch up to his teammate, Malik Ray, who's, of course, the winningest driver in PGR history. So a good win for Ethan Eckert here tonight. Obviously, we mentioned the 2 other guys that were able to get themselves up on the podium, and that was Malik Ray and Joshua McCullough. And a good job, too, by McCullough. You got to give him some props, too. Didn't have any teammates up there at the end, but still managed to find his way inside the top 3. And then we saw a lot of chaos break out right there on the backstretch of the last lap. So we're going to go back and look at that and break that down. And then, of course, we will get a look at your results and interviews with your top 3 here tonight from the World Center of Racing. Well, I want to first go back and actually look at this white flag lap. There's a lot of stuff that went on, and Baker, I know we were watching it. Kind of take us through, once we get to the backstretch here, kind of what you saw from your point of view, and if you're Cody Nagels, what's going through your mind on the bottom line?
You just see a double block. The one to the inside was a little late from Wyatt Gray. So Cody Nagels frustrated, goes back to the top side, kind of clears himself off the nose of Daniel Eberhardt. Fortunate for sure, but he focused out the windshield and got his teammate caught up in it. Not a great block by Wyatt there to the inside, but he did nothing wrong there coming back up. He was totally clear of Cody, so unfortunate for D3 and Dylan there, not able to fight it to the line like they should have had to do it. 2 wrecked cars.
Yeah, definitely not the way they would have wanted their battle in the Final 4 to end. The good news for them is they are teammates, so I'm sure there's still some relief that they know at least one of them is guaranteed to move on to the championship. And talk more about that in just a moment. But again, Ethan Eckert is your race winner. So let's now turn our attention to the finishing results here tonight. The man who gets the win, there he is, the 12 of Ethan Eckert. Again, a multiple-time winner in PGR. He adds yet another one here tonight. Another multi-time winner in PGR. He'll finish second tonight. Teammate to Ethan Eckert, that is the 88 of Malik Ray. And the last man on the podium is one of the McCullough Motorsports drivers, and that is Joshua McCullough. Jeff Merck finishes in 4th, and then the first driver to advance through to the March Madness Championship is Matt Patton, rounding out the top 5. Wyatt Gray tangles up in that last lap incident, still able to bring it home 6th. Nathan Harper 7th, with Brian Henningsen 8th, Cody Nagels 9th, and Tucker McClendon, the last man inside of the top 10.
Dustin Cowan going to finish 11th. Good run for him. Andrew Hansley had some internet issues, but able to pull out P12. Alex Kroenke involved there late. Dylan Jones as well involved late. Josh Cruz in 15th. Max Dinda 16th. Brock Westmoreland 17th. Recovery for him after going 2 laps down. Kevin J. Cunningham in 18th. Michael Guest getting knocked out by the incident limit. Unfortunate there in 19th. And Danny Eberhardt running out your top 20 last car on the lead lap.
Yeah, and obviously a very tough break right there for Daniel Eberhardt, and as we mentioned, Dylan Jones, those two getting collected in the last lap incident. But for Dylan, he will advance through to face Matt Patton in that March Madness championship. Mike Davenport finishes 21st. Wes Campbell 22nd. Daniel Falkingham, not the best run for him tonight. He'll finish 23rd with Ken McCullough Jr. 24th. Steve Sizemore finishes 25th in the 08 machine. Christopher Carter in 26th. Carson Freeman, involved in an incident early, will finish 27th. Ricky Stewart back in at 28th. It's going to be Neil Meadows in 29th. Michael Barksdale, the last car to start the race here tonight, rounding out the top 30. We are going to start to transition now to post-race interviews. We're going to go find your top 3. You'll hear first from your winner, Ethan Eckert. We'll have him coming up here in just a moment. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Daytona. All right, welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. We're going to start first here tonight with your race winner. And, well, actually, I can't drag him up here. We'll have to see if we can get Matthew Baker to drag him up for us. But Ethan Eckert, the 12 car, gets the win here tonight. Ethan, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy.
How you doing?
Well, man, you get the job done here tonight, and you've gotten multiple wins before, but this one even more dominant than usual. I think you led probably the last 5 to 10 laps of that race uncontested, and you come home first. How does it feel to be back in victory lane?
Oh, it feels great. First one of the year in PGR. Hopefully many more to come, but yeah, it's good to finally get back in here.
Well, I know we asked this question a lot, but it seems like it's the common theme is teamwork. You guys seem to be so good at it. You had you, Malik, and Wyatt lined up 1, 2, 3 for a while. You guys are able to split, 1 on the bottom, 2 up top, coming to the last lap. Was that kind of the game plan to try to hold everybody off towards the end, or does it just kind of work out that way?
Well, it was me, then Merck, Malik, and then Wyatt. So we were trying to find a way at the end there just to move Malik and Wyatt up a row and not really shuffle Merck out because he's been helping us for like the whole race. So we wanted to still try to take care of him to an extent, but yeah, that's the reason we went low. We just couldn't really get Wyatt back clear up. I mean, the overall goal was to get him back clear. It didn't work out that way. I mean, just yeah, it worked. It worked good for me and Malik, but Wyatt got the bad end of it.
Well, he's still able to bring home a 6th place finish, but for you tonight, Ethan, it is another win. Obviously, not in the March Madness bracket, at least in terms of anywhere in the Final Four or advancing to the championship, but I got to think it feels pretty good to win. Do you feel like this generates some extra momentum for the next couple of weeks?
Oh, I mean, everyone does. I mean, just team morale plus 100, as we like to say. I mean, yeah, it just the teamwork. It just keeps getting better and better, and that's yeah.
Well, Ethan, before we let you head out tonight to celebrate yet another win and a dominant performance, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to you guys broadcasting. Shout out to everyone that raced. Shout out to Mike Baker for putting this on. Shout out to everyone that watched. Yeah, I think that's it. Baker for doing race control. Oh, Malik, Wyatt, Harper, and who else? We had one more. Oh yeah, Michael Guest, Neil. Can't do it without them.
And Ethan, thank you for talking to us. Once again, congrats on the race win, and hopefully we will see you back again next week.
Hopefully.
There you go, Ethan Eckert, your race winner here tonight. And we're going to try to transition over here to a different channel. So give me just a moment where I can actually pull these guys in. Matthew Baker dealing with a few other issues here at the moment. And can I apologize here? Give me just a moment. All right, that'll now advance us to your second place finisher here tonight. And that was, of course, the 88 machine. New colors on board, but one thing that isn't new is the dominant performance from Malik Ray. Malik, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yo, what's up, man?
Well, man, sorry to interrupt you. I know you were debriefing there with race control, but we were just talking to your teammate, Ethan Eckert. You guys are dominant once again. Almost a 1-2-3 finish. I know there was some separation there on the last lap, but, I mean, how are you able to just do this race in and race out? You find your way to the front at the perfect time, and at least in tonight's case, nobody was able to get past you guys at the end.
It's really just teamwork, man. I mean, I say it like, like every week. Like, we're the best there is, and it's because of our trust, man. Like, we all trust each other, and we all just know, like what we're doing, and we try to just look out for, each other at the end of the day. And so far, it's been going pretty good, man. So I can't complain.
Yeah, and certainly looking like the best there is out there here tonight. Now, obviously, Malik, you got eliminated from the March Madness bracket a little bit earlier in the rounds, but here tonight, getting second, does it feel like a good comeback?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I like the bracket idea. I think it's a fun stuff, or it's a fun idea, sorry. I think Matt Patton has made it all the way to the end, so I think he's going up against Dylan Jones, I think. So shout out to him for making it all the way to the end. But, yeah, I'm just happy that I finished P3 or P2. Like, I enjoyed the race. It was clean. It was smooth. I didn't have any incidents. It went well. So, yeah, I'm happy.
And it certainly did. Well, Malik, we won't hold you in here too long tonight. It's another top 3 for you, but before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Logitech, Intent Solutions, and you guys for broadcasting, and JRM. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
And Malik, thank you for talking to us. Once again, congrats on the second place finish, and hopefully we will see you once again next week.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And there you go, Malik Ray, second place finisher here tonight at the Virtual World Center of Racing. Well, your third place finisher, Joshua McCullough, do not see him in here, so unfortunately I don't think we are going to get that third place interview here tonight. But nonetheless, another crazy race here at Daytona. The finish probably not quite as crazy as what we're used to seeing. I think that contributes to a few things. Obviously, the update to the car, and then the pure dominance here tonight that we saw from Malik Ray, Ethan Eckert, and Wyatt Gray, especially in the last quarter of this race. Well, we mentioned who advanced through to the championship. We'll do that one more time. Again, it was Matthew Patton and then also Dylan Jones. Those are the two drivers that you will see battling out for the March Madness Championship next week, and we are looking forward to that event. As for tonight, we're going to wrap it up. As always, want to thank everyone so much for joining in. On behalf of my whole team here, Tyler Vickery, our pit reporter, Matthew Baker, co-host tonight, I'm Austin Green. We will see you next time. Have a good night from Virtual Daytona.